Ahead on NewsWatch, Trump's national security advisor Michael Flynn resigns. Hear why and what's ahead as the president assembles his cabinet. Plus, they were a family forced who faced a $1,000 a month jump in their health premiums until they discovered a faith-based solution. We'll introduce you to Christian health share programs. And 5 former Soviet republics where the only safe place to talk about Jesus is the workplace. See how young Christian professionals in Central Asia are sharing the gospel. Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. President Trump's national security advisor Michael Flynn has resigned just over 3 weeks into his tenure over concerns about his contact with the Russian ambassador. Meanwhile, more of the president's cabinet have been confirmed as his plans for the economy send stocks soaring. Charlene Aaron has the story.
Retired Lieutenant General Joseph Kellogg has been named as President Trump's acting national security advisor after the resignation of Michael Flynn. Flynn says in his resignation letter late Monday that he gave, quote, incomplete information about discussions he had with the Russian ambassador to the U.S. Unfortunately, because of the fast pace of events, I inadvertently briefed the vice president-elect and others with incomplete information regarding my phone calls with the Russian ambassador. I have sincerely apologized to the president and the vice president, and they have accepted my apology. Flynn had originally said there were no discussions of the sanctions slapped on Russia by the Obama administration for election hacking. The current favorite to replace Flynn is retired Navy Vice Admiral Robert Harward, along with possibly former CIA Director David Petraeus. The president was also talking about the economy Monday, the NAFTA trade agreement with Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau. Making fair international trade deals was one of the president's major campaign themes.
We have a very outstanding trade relationship with Canada. We'll be tweaking it. We'll be doing certain things that are going to benefit both of our countries. We're going to work with Mexico. We're going to make it a fair deal for both parties.
And the economy was also an issue as the Senate continues to confirm Trump's cabinet choices at a historically slow pace. Monday night, the Senate finally confirmed his Treasury Secretary nominee, Steve Mnuchin, a former executive at Goldman Sachs, by a vote of 53 to 47, with only one Democrat, West Virginia's Joe Manchin, voting for him. He was then sworn in. Meanwhile, the Trump rally on Wall Street continues, with all the major stock indexes once again hitting record highs, and the Standard & Poor's 500 going over $20 trillion in value. Many analysts believe investors are buying because they like Trump's plans for cutting business and personal taxes and getting rid of heavy government regulations. They believe that's a recipe for a healthier economy and stronger business profits. And that would mean higher stock prices in the future as well. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
President Donald Trump entered office with an intense agenda for his first 100 days. He is promising to take action and reform America's immigration system. To do so, he has moved forward with a number of his proposals through executive orders. Jenna Browder has more.
At a later date, we have to have security in our country.
President Trump isn't giving up on restricting travel from terror-prone countries.
We have problems that a lot of people have no idea how bad they are, how serious they are.
During Monday's news conference with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the controversial issue came up.
I said at the beginning, we are going to get the bad ones, the really bad ones. We're getting them out, and that's exactly what we're doing. I think that in the end, everyone's going to be extremely happy.
Trump is expected to issue a new immigration executive order, a rewrite of his first, which was blocked by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals.
The best case forward will be a new executive order that is crystal clear, no ambiguities.
Jay Sekulow with the American Center for Law and Justice says this one needs to have a narrower scope.
So what we've suggested, what we've advocated is that the executive order be reissued today or tomorrow, that it includes a provision that clearly sets forth that those with visas, valid travel visas, green cards, would not be within the scope of that order. That will cure any kind of confusion. Then, of course, I'm still thinking the Washington State will file a lawsuit, and the district court will probably rule against them, and the Ninth Circuit might well rule against them also. But I will tell you this, at the end of the day, that's the case I take to the Supreme Court. I think you win it 8-0.
My personal opinion is that we don't have a wall problem. I've never thought the problem was a wall. You can build a wall as tall as you want it to be, and I don't think that solves the problem. Our problem is a door problem. Until you fix the entry and exit system into our country, you can build all the walls you want. That doesn't fix immigration reform. Fix the door. Fix the entry and exit system, and you will solve immigration reform.
Reverend Tony Suarez with the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference says the answer can only come from legislation.
I think the mistake in the previous administration was that we kept looking to the White House for answers, where the answer, the legislative answer, has to come from Capitol Hill. I think we could be, if we're not careful, we're going to make that same mistake again. The White House cannot dictate immigration policy.
But for now, all eyes are on the White House as the country waits to see what Trump will do. When asked about the U.S.-Canadian border,
Can never be totally confident, but through the incredible efforts already, I see it happening, of formerly General Kelly, now Secretary Kelly. We have really done a great job. We're actually taking people that are criminals, very, very hardened criminals in some cases, with a tremendous track record of abuse and problems, and we're getting them out. And that's what I said I would do. I'm just doing what I said I would do.
a campaign promise and one Trump vows to keep. In Washington, Jenna Browder, CBN News.
The alliance between the United States and Israel has always been strong, and it's about to get stronger. Those are the words from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ahead of his first face-to-face visit at the White House to sit down with President Donald Trump. The two are scheduled to meet Wednesday to discuss several pressing issues, including Iran and housing settlements, along with how to strengthen relations after public clashes between President Obama and Prime Minister Netanyahu.
What do you think is going to be the number one item on their agenda? Do you believe that's Iran?
I think the number one issue is just reestablishing that strategic cooperation, those warm ties between Israel and the United States. Not having that kind of relationship was a weakness for the Israelis, a strategic weakness for them over the last 8 years. Then there is the Iran deal that is first and foremost on the policy agenda, trying to ensure that Iran sticks to the nuclear deal, doesn't violate it even in small ways, and that Iran is punished for its support for terrorist groups, its firing of ballistic missiles, human rights violations, a range of other things that make Iran a rogue state. And then I think the third issue is probably the issue of the settlements, just making sure that the two sides are on the same page. Going back to the Bush-Sharon understandings of 2004, I think will be an important issue for these two leaders, just to make sure that there is less conflict.
CBN News will have complete coverage of the Trump-Netanyahu meeting. Visit our website, cbnnews.com, or Facebook for live stream reporting. Iraqi Christian refugees are angry at the UN's resettlement process. About 200 Iraqi Christians marched outside the UN regional headquarters in Beirut on Monday. One banner said, quote, "The future of our children is wasted." Thousands of Iraqi Christians fled to Lebanon seeking refuge from ISIS atrocities and the fighting. Many of them are waiting to resettle in another country. Human rights advocates say Christians have a more difficult time getting into the UN program because they can't live in the UN camps for fear of persecution. A new bill is making its way through the South Dakota legislature, and it would protect faith-based foster care and adoption agencies from allowing same-sex couples or single people to take in children. The agencies would continue to benefit from state funds and contracts without retribution from government officials. The bill sponsor says the legislation is needed to protect the agency's religious freedom. Opponents are calling the bill discriminatory. Prominent pro-life speakers took on various issues concerning Planned Parenthood during this weekend's nationwide protest against forced taxpayer funding of the abortion giant. Paul Strand shares some of the charges they were leveling.
Thank you all for being part. In Orange, California, investigator David DeLayden blasted Planned Parenthood for its trade in body parts of the unborn.
This exact clinic right behind me, this exact mega center where they do abortions up to 6 months. This clinic is one of the places where for years and years they have been harvesting and selling the body parts of our unborn brothers and sisters like so many widgets on an assembly line.
Jill Stanek of the pro-life Susan B. Anthony list at a rally in Aurora, Illinois, talked about how Planned Parenthood dominates the abortion scene.
Killing 1 in 3 babies in the United States from abortion.
We now know that for almost 8 years, this Planned Parenthood clinic was partnered with Da Vinci Biosciences and DV Biologics up in Yorba Linda, where every week, multiple times per week, their technicians would come into the center and harvest the body parts of late-term aborted children and then resell them to make $500,000 every year.
In Aurora, Illinois, Eric Scheidler of the Pro-Life Action League blasted Terry O'Neill, National Organization for Women Foundation president, for her critique of pro-life healthcare advocates.
When someone says, well, how are people going to get their health care? They're going to go to getyourcare.org and they're going to find health care that they need in their community. She was complaining that that list of healthcare providers included dentists. Some of them are dentists. Show of hands. Who's ever been to the dentist?
At the same rally, Stanek complained Planned Parenthood is getting more tax dollars all the time.
I'm sure that this is in line with President Obama being in charge. Planned Parenthood's proceeds from our tax dollars has increased by 50% since 2007.
They are an integral part of the criminal trade in the body parts of our unborn brothers and sisters, and they must be held accountable to the law for their barbarism.
Scheidler contrasted what he called the pro-life movement and the pro-death movement.
Can you go to Planned Parenthood for dental care? No. Can you go to Planned Parenthood for the flu? No. Can you go to Planned Parenthood if you've got a broken leg? No. Terry O'Neill thinks the only thing a woman needs to see a doctor for is an abortion or maybe some contraceptive pills. Doesn't that show you their mentality? That they would complain we're trying to connect women to dentists along with other types of health care. We believe in comprehensive health care for Americans. We want to provide that any way that we can, and that's what getyourcare.org is about, and that's the difference between the pro-life movement and the pro-death movement.
Paul Strand, CBN News.
Coming up, millennial Christians in Central Asia are risking persecution to spread the word of God. We're showing you how. The growth of radical Islam helped to make 2016 one of the worst years ever for Christian persecution. Christians in a predominantly Muslim region in Central Asia continue to face almost daily harassment for sharing the gospel. Even so, many young professionals in the 5 so-called stand states are boldly spreading the gospel. George Thomas brings us the story from Kyrgyzstan.
A Christian living in any of the 5 former Soviet republics of Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, or Turkmenistan can expect intimidation, harassment, or worse, jail time for telling others about their faith. Artur, not his real name, is from Uzbekistan.
I am called to be a witness for Christ, but that has been a dangerous calling.
Maxim lives in northern Tajikistan.
When the authorities discover someone has converted to Christianity, they will gather relatives, friends, and family of the accused and bring him or her before an Islamic council of elders. The convert then stands before the group and has to decide between faith or family.
25 years after the Soviet Union disappeared and these republics gained their independence, the 5 so-called stand states have become repressive and hostile towards people of faith.
In recent years, Christians have come under intense pressure here in Central Asia. In fact, in an attempt to crack down on radical Islam, these 5 governments have enacted laws curbing their activities. But here's the problem. Instead of going after Muslims, these governments are using these laws to go after Christians.
Dr. Michael Cherenkov follows religious freedom issues in the former Soviet Union.
These laws have forced Christians to be more creative and invent new approaches to sharing the gospel.
Cherenkov says while churches and Christian organizations raise suspicion, individual relationships go virtually unnoticed.
We are discovering that being a witness for Christ in the workplace is probably the only safe and effective form of evangelization.
On a recent Saturday morning, hundreds of young Christians from across the region met for the first ever Next Generation Professional Leaders Initiative. The event was the brainchild and dream of Sergei Rakuba.
It is not possible to overstate the significance of the gathering.
He grew up in the former Soviet Union and remembers what it was like as a young Christian trying to discover his purpose in life.
I was not allowed to study in the universities because I was a Christian. And throughout the whole territory of the Soviet Union, you could not find even one Christian professor, Christian doctor, or Christian lawyer. Even the word business was a foreign word for Christians at that time.
Rakuba brought together entrepreneurs, doctors, educators, lawyers, and media experts to teach young professionals how to be effective witnesses for Christ in the marketplace.
This is a generation that didn't grow up in a secular and repressive Soviet mindset. So they have a unique perspective, unique gifts and talents that can bring transformation to their communities.
31-year-old Urmat works as an IT specialist from Kyrgyzstan.
While it's not always easy to talk openly about faith, I'm learning that my deeds should speak louder than my words and that building long-term relationships is vital.
17-year-old Miriam teaches English in Kazakhstan.
My parents and all my relatives are against me because I'm a Christian.
She says meeting others who have also endured much for their faith and still want to be used by God was a huge encouragement.
This gathering is also important because it's teaching us how to safely combine our profession with our passion for Christ.
Yevgeny is a media specialist.
To see a lot of young people who are really interested in being useful for God is inspiring to me. This has also been a wonderful opportunity to network with others.
Rakuba says it's up to these young professionals to instill biblical values into their societies. Only then will they see lasting change.
Even though Islam is the dominant religion and radical Islam is becoming more influential here, I am so blessed to witness the courage and confidence demonstrated by young Christians in Central Asia.
George Thomas, CBN News, Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan.
A faith-based solution to rising costs in healthcare. See how it is helping meet medical needs next. Affordable health care is a dream for many Americans, and the Trump administration and Congress are working on a solution that won't happen overnight. So what can be done in the meantime? Caitlin Burke has a look at Christians across the country turning to a faith-based solution.
As Washington tangles over health insurance, many Americans are taking matters into their own hands.
I wanted something that wasn't going to be the same sort of trap that I had been in.
Attorney Steven Stroh-Snyder and his wife Jennifer have 3 young boys and a baby on the way. 2 years ago, they paid $500 a month for insurance. The premium's been steadily rising, and this year would have hit $1,500 a month, a 52% jump from where it started.
We try to find the best deals that we can, and even the best deals that we could find were going up and up. And according to our insurance broker, it was just everybody's was going up because of Obamacare. And we could choose a different provider, but the difference may be $10 or $15 a month. There wasn't going to be a huge savings, whichever insurance company we went with.
So Stephen and his family took a leap of faith by approaching healthcare in a more biblical way, a Christian health share.
Your brothers and sisters in Christ have committed themselves as being part of this family that loves you enough to say, I'm going to help you out when your burden exceeds your ability to bear it.
There are a number of Christian health sharing ministries, including Samaritan Ministries, Christian Healthcare Ministries, and Liberty Health Share. The Stroh-Snyders chose MediShare. Unlike traditional insurance companies, a health share collects monthly dues and then distributes the money to members who have medical bills that exceed an annual amount that they've chosen to be responsible for.
We've selected for our family to have our own household responsibility of $5,000 a year. So we know that out of our own pockets, we're going to be responsible for $5,000 worth of health care cost, and that's just our own responsibility that we'll take charge of.
If medical needs exceed that amount in a given year, they notify their health share and receive a check to pay their healthcare providers.
I'm responsible for it, but my fellow members are making a commitment that they're going to help me meet those responsibilities that exceed $5,000.
The Stroh-Snyders feel that being a part of a Christian health share allows them to take some of the teachings that they've heard about in church and read about in the Bible and live them out.
We can see a picture of the church in Acts 2, where the church shares everything in common, and the believers, they share their possessions and make sure that everybody is taken care of, and that when there's a need, you meet it. And we're also told to be responsible for our households. And so what I see is Christian Health Share helps you do both of those things.
The Stroh-Snyders say two things really stand out to them about being a part of this ministry. First, they've received prayer when they call to ask a question or get more information about their coverage.
It was really uplifting and encouraging, and not a moment that you would ever associate with healthcare or insurance, or at least I wouldn't have.
And second, each month they receive an email about families being helped by their share, encouraging a note or prayer on the family's behalf.
Every time I do that, it helps me have the confidence and understanding that in my hour of need, when our family may need it, there are going to be other people out there that want to do the same thing.
Since these are Christian health share ministries, there are limitations. Members agree to abide by a Christian lifestyle. Failure to do so could lead to uncovered medical costs. For example, if you were involved in a car accident after drinking, you'd be required to pay your own health bills. Becoming pregnant out of wedlock would also not be covered. Stephen believes his family would stay with their program even if Washington succeeds in overhauling healthcare with lower premiums and better coverage.
I feel that there is a way that I'm contributing to the family of Christ that I'm doing now that I can't do through traditional insurance. And so I don't want to go back into a method that ignores the needs of my brothers and sisters.
Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Waynesboro, Virginia.
We're out of time for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. The news continues 24/7 at cbnnews.com. We'll see you there.